Hey, welcome to Brisbane Small Business. This is Kevin Gammy. Sorry I'm running a little bit late. I was just discussing with a colleague a really important issue. I've just invited him to join me. It's just come to our attention, I feel like a newsreader. It has just come to our attention that the state government have actually put on hold all of the grants, so all of the Advanced Queensland grants, and I'm just trying to get a little bit more information on that. So if you could bear with me just for 1 second. One of the challenges that we do have right now with the economic stimulus that we need under this scenario is to have, funding into a lot of the different ventures that that Advanced Queensland has been providing over the course of the last 4 years. And what they've done is they've actually stopped all of those particular issues. So the Entrepreneurs Grant is on hold. The digital grant is on hold. The Ignite grant is on hold, and a whole range of other grants that were there to help supply and support small business in relation to their stimulus with the state government have been put on hold. So it is a bit of a challenge in relation to the fact that this is one of the things that is actually going to stimulate the economy more than anything else, particularly in that small business field. One of the other challenge that we had was with the stimulus package that the state government offered. Really, it wasn't overly targeted at true small and micro businesses. It was targeted at the large end of small business and medium businesses or more. It was business up to $50 million, and ideally quite often in that range of the $5 million to $50 million, from the fact that, yes, you could apply for loans for up to $250,000 for funding, for cash flow funding for payroll. However, you had to get everything in, and that actually closed on Saturday. So you had to get everything to them before Saturday, or you've not got an option to do that. Now, that for me is a bit of a challenge, with the fact that your small and micro businesses were worried about, being concerned about their staff, and did they have to lay them off, or could they keep them, and that sort of issue. And that was a great challenge as far as I was concerned. I'm still just waiting for Kevin, the other Kevin, to come through. While they're busy trying to look after their staff, your medium-sized and your larger businesses had an opportunity to coordinate their teams to be getting all their finances in order and putting these into state government. So, really, I feel that micro businesses and small business were almost accidentally locked out of this particular process, which is a great concern for me. Now, Kevin, we've got Kevin Parra from Australian Strategic Advisory Services.
Spot on, mate. ASA, Australian Strategic Advisory.
There you go. No services. They don't provide any service whatsoever. That's not true at all. Many of you may know of Kevin before, and it is something, as I said, I feel like a bit of a newsreader saying, hey, it's breaking news, and I'm really concerned about this. But I really am very, very concerned that small business, as far as the state government, they've kind of missed the boat.
Yes, mate. Look, don't get me wrong, right now is a really tough time for anybody in government at any level, be it state, federal, or local. This is uncharted territory. This is something new, something no one's ever dealt with. So we're not throwing a shot over the bow as such. All we're asking for, we've noticed that there's a couple of funds which are not open, grant funds at the moment, which we believe are a great help to small business. And we're just asking the state government to consider reopening some of those. Ignite is one of the big ones from Advanced Queensland. We think there's no better stimulus payment for small business than having grants. These grants, which take about 6 months to be approved, ultimately means that when this is over and it lifts and we can go back to normal, these businesses will be able to hit the ground running and create jobs, be it in the construction industry and also at the other end, which is they'll be able to start trading. I just think it's so important. This is the greatest stimulus you can do for the economy, is to have your economy pumped, primed and ready to operate at the back end of this.
Yeah, and my challenge is that, although there's all the, that there is a lot of, supposed support for small and micro businesses, when it comes to the crunch, quite often they're accidentally left out. Okay. And I believe that this is the situation in this scenario. As I was saying before you got on, is that, with when it comes to a first in best dress scenario for the distribution of the government supported loans, that actually accidentally supports your medium and larger businesses far more easily than it does your micro business or your guy running a cafe that's trying to work out, hang on, what can I do with my staff? If I'm going to have to let them all go, and going through the heartbreak of all of that, then having to get his counts right up to date so that he can put in his last 2 years financials and then be applying for the loan and talking to, like, this is right now, many people are sitting there rocking in the corner, going forwards and backwards, going, what can I do to hold this thing together? And, they don't have the strategic access to the array of professional services to get everything together in as quick a time as what has been required to put these loans in. As I said, I don't think it's anything intentional. It's completely just overlooked the fact that small business don't have the feet on the ground to have applying for a loan their primary focus.
No, that's right, mate. It's, while I totally supporting medium-sized and large businesses as well, small business is the engine room of our economy in the whole of Australia. Provides more jobs, circulates more money. This is what it's all about. These guys are in the coalface. We're the ones, who are doing the hard jacker every day. It's not a deliberate thing on behalf of any government to overlook them.
Oh, I'm 100% there. It's an accidental byproduct of the process.
Absolutely.
And that is the greatest challenge, and it unfortunately shows the inability, particularly when they're under stress, and every government department right now is under enormous stress to try and work out what they can do to try and help this situation as much as possible. I fully get that.
Oh, I'd hate to be in government right now. It'd be, it would be.
I know it's been a desire of yours once before, so maybe lucky you didn't make it that time. So you got to thank God for blessings, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Gifts wrapped in crap, one of my friends calls it. But the situation is that this is something that we do need to get together strongly. And I'm going to reach out and ask for your help. I don't know how to go about putting it together, a petition or anything like that. But I'm going to ask for your support, and if you can help me do that, help me word what I want to word. Your company doesn't have to be involved from that perspective, but so that we can get this process started and so that we can get everyone jumping on board to put our hand up and go, hey, what about us?
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And I think it's really important. See, a petition doesn't have to be an attack on a government, and this one certainly won't.
We're not trying to do that.
No, my word, not. As I said, very, very hard. Like, these guys are working their tails off, and full credit to them. It's, as I said, uncharted territory. This is a new battlefront that nobody's ever fought on before, at least not for 100 years. So what we'll be doing is, certainly, I think a petition is a very solid way of asking the government to consider a new position or a new angle. And it's just saying there's a lot of us here who support this. So it's letting the government know that while we think you're doing, your best at the moment, you've just overlooked this part over here. So, look over here. This is where there's a big chunk of people who, as you said, they couldn't get on that earlier train to get the government loans through no fault of their own. They just didn't have the infrastructure in place to be able to get all that hard work done. I mean, that was a really valid point you made. For small businesses, what it's about is still being able to access these government grants and these government funds so that they can actually be potentially ready to go at the back end of this, and even open up access to other sources of funding. As I said, maybe there might be a chance for a government loan just for small businesses who earn under a cap amount per annum. So maybe that might be an option. And don't get me wrong, like I said, we're not having a go at medium-sized business, we're not having a go at large business, and we're not having a go at the government. We're just saying, let's not forget about the small guy who turns up every day. He might be working his little corner store. He might be working out of his van every day, going around and fixing up whatever he's going to fix up. He might be a stay-at-home accountant who just works online for his clients. These are people, and there's more people doing this every year than are working in large corporations. And we can't have them become the forgotten people of this crisis, because you'll notice them pretty soon otherwise lining up outside of Centrelink and through no fault of their own. So let's try and do what we can to try and give them a leg up. And I think it's start off with a petition and just let the state government know that there's a group of people over here who also need a bit of a hand.
Absolutely. I think federally they are doing a very good job with JobKeeper and all that sort of stuff. And a quick word on JobKeeper. Look, you need to put in your application this week. Absolutely. Well, if you want to get the first payments, right, you've got to be putting in your application this week. If you are with that, if you believe that you qualify, put your application in, and you'll the funding of that will come out in the first week in May. This is a completely different issue, and this is around what the state government is actually doing. And as I said, they've accidentally missed, your true small business of people with less than 19 staff, and particularly a lot of those that have got, there's fewer and fewer businesses the higher up, closer to that 19 that you get. We know that 60%, 65% of small business are one-man shows. Okay, so with that, all of a sudden, their opportunity to get that all of their application process in by the weekend, that was highly restrained, I would say, by the circumstances that everyone's finding themselves under. So
the superannuation also opened up, I think at midnight last night it opened. If people want to access $10,000 of their super this financial year, that opened up last night. You need to go through the ATO part of the government website when you go on. So people who have already registered, just so you know, that's the path you need to take if you wish to access your super.
In relation to both those things and the other stimulus package, I will be talking to Damien LeBlanche of the Peak Partnership tomorrow at 12. We're going to be having a chat with him on those different things. And basically at this stage, we'll be putting out okay, so what's the order of hierarchy? What should I be focused on first? And what are the very basics, so that we can help you understand what you do need to do first, because that's a really critical issue right now, that if there's funding available, you should be asking for it and not thinking that, hey, this is a government handout and everything else. The government want as many small business owners and to survive. They want as many employees to stay in jobs, because their own modelling suggests that if somebody can't find a job for 2 years after they've been made redundant, they're unlikely to ever find a job. So that's why they're doing so much right now. They're going, hey, if we can keep more people employed right now, that will keep fewer people from that job search later on, which will keep more Australians employed long term, and that's why the funding is there. So, it's pretty serious stuff. And I do just think that it's just something that the state government have accidentally missed. And we really do, but we need to stand up and need to let them know that a lot of people are affected.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So we'll get that petition. We'll have a petition done within 24 hours. We'll have it ready to go. When Kevin Gammy sends it out, we'd invite everybody to get on board and sign it. We'll certainly, be trying to make a bit of noise about it. But as I said, it's not going to be an attack piece at all. It's just going to be the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. So we've just got to squeak a bit. That's pretty much it.
And that is 100%, my goal. It isn't to attack anyone, because I know that everybody is working their butts off right now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine many politicians getting, you know, more than 3 hours sleep a night. You know, I think the stress that they're under right now is similar to small business owners from that perspective. I believe that we're approaching this period of time with a similar mindset of, heck, what have I got to do, right? And they're looking at it, the same new information is coming for them all the time. They're making decisions which are far-reaching and, you know, and far-reaching for themselves, their families, and all that sort of thing. So it's not that they're not caring. They are absolutely caring about the situation. But it's, as I said, when we were talking, I said, look, this is something we've got to do something about. So so thanks very much for coming on at, you know, minus 2 minutes notice, and you know, changing out of your pajamas before you got online. Thank you very much for that too.
These are nice.
They even look tired. I'm surprised. Look,
Mate,
Kevin,
absolute pleasure.
thank you very much for your time, and thanks for discussing this particular situation. We'll see what we can do. You and I'll have continue to have a conversation about this, and we'll get something out, as I said, within 24 hours. Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, mate.